approval of minutes from April 8th, 2019.
I'll make the motion to approve.
By Councilman Roberts, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Councilman Foe to approve the minutes of August 8th, 2019. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Abstain. For the reason of being absent.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Fall?
Aye.
Mr. Roberts?
Aye.
Mr. Herko?
Aye.
Mr. Oho?
Abstain.
Mr. Ellis?
Aye, the ayes have it, the matter approved. Abstract of audited vouchers, please read by the town clerk.
General fund claims 405 to 462, $62,455.80. Highway fund claims 150 through 166, $33,954.74. Refuse fund claim number 12, $30,149.21. Sewer operating 29 through 35, $3,458.57. Water construction claim number 8, $19,675.64. And water operating claims 128 through 144, $17,707.41.
Any question on the abstract? Have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Moved by Councilman Foe, seconded by Councilman Kirkham. Approve the abstract of audited voucher for September 12th, 2019, as read by the clerk. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Motion is carried. Old business, Saunders Settlement Road water line replacement.
It's been submitted to the health department and to DOT for review, so that's where it stands. Now, the grant, the WIA grant was also, the application was submitted today.
Water line extension on Shawnee Road.
We have health department approval, we expect DOT approval shortly. That is waiting for the ag and markets process before we can start. There is a motion in front of the board tonight to declare a negative declaration on that it won't have a significant adverse impact on the environment. So that's for the board's consideration.
Okay, we have the resolution. Clerk, please read the resolution.
Whereas the town of Cambria will be undertaking the construction of approximately 550 linear feet of 8-inch water line along Shawnee Road as an extension of an existing 8-inch water line. And whereas the construction of these improvements are subject to the New York State Environmental Quality Review Act. And whereas the proposed project has been determined to be a type 1 action under seeker and a short EAF has been completed for the project. And whereas the short EAF Part 1 was utilized by the Town of Cambria Town Board to complete the short EAF Part 2 and evaluate potential impacts in the short EAF Part 3. And whereas the Town of Cambria Town Board determined that the proposed project will not result in any potentially moderate or large adverse environmental impacts. And now therefore be it resolved that the Town of Cambria hereby determines that the proposed project construction of approximately 550 linear feet of 8-inch water line along Shawnee Road will not have significant adverse impact on the environment and therefore issues a negative declaration. And be it further resolved that the Town of Cambria Town Board authorizes the supervisor to sign the short EAF, which along with the attached material will act as the negative declaration.
Any questions on the resolution? I have a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Foe, second by Councilman Oho, to approve the resolution for the negative declaration of seeker on the Shawnee Road water line extension. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Mr. Foe?
Aye.
Mr. Roberts?
Aye.
Mr. Herko?
Aye.
Mr. Oho?
Aye.
Mr. Ellis?
Aye, the ayes have it, the resolution is approved. Reports, Town Clerk.
Town clerk, monthly report, total receipts, $49,662.09. Building inspector report for August, total receipts, $3,139.45. Estimated value of construction, $652,400. That's all I have.
I forgot the matter of the leak detection study.
Leak detection study on the water system is scheduled to start on September 23rd.
Should be a week from Monday. Yep, for about a week and a half.
Yeah, approximately.
Okay. Highway Superintendent.
We're finishing up paving. We've been paving for other towns. We have a shared service agreement, so we back and forth, but most of our paving is done. We're gonna be doing our fall striping, and we like striping this time of year so that the trucks can see. We're using that shoulder stripe. So it's nice when you do the striping late, that way you can see during the, I hope we don't have a bad winter, but that could happen. We've got a couple other things going on right now. We're working on we were starting our ditching program. We were supposed to start last week, and we had problems with the excavator, and we're gonna have that running again Monday. We'll start our ditching program up. And we're finishing up our roadside mowing for the fall season. And I think what's coming up next, but we gotta start to think about getting trucks ready for winter.
You did not need to mention that. Thank you. Water sewer?
We had one service on Shawnee Road, and that's all I have.
Okay. Recreation salary.
All reports have been completed for recreation and for baseball. We're prepping for Veterans Day, tree lighting, and future events for next year. I also have I'm going to make this very, very brief, a little Centex demonstration for everyone. You may have seen some of these in the past, like maybe at local businesses and so forth. And sometimes people will offer different specials and so forth for if all of a sudden if you sign up for something, you'll a little message will show up, like maybe a special or this or that and the other thing. I decided for the town of Cambria, I know for recreation we're trying to open it up a little bit more so, but especially for the town. If you ever go to the clerk's office or to some of the other offices, you'll see a little picture of this for the town of Cambria with a little cell phone picture and so forth. We often talk about getting information out to people and so forth. This isn't going to take away the traditional notifying people in traditional ways. This is just going to make things, you know what, the next step, the 21st century and so forth. What it is that simply you sign up for it, believe me, everybody. You're not going to be spammed with information and so forth. It's a very simple 2-minute sign up. I will be in my little office over there in the corner after. I know this is going to be kind of busy for a little while, but come on over. We can do it with your own cell phones. Don't tell me you don't have a cell phone, because I know that 99% of you do. And you can get simple information from the town, such as when tree lighting ceremony comes up, when Veterans Day ceremony comes up, when board meetings and so forth come up, when maybe even going further, sometimes when there's a situation with a water main break or whatever. Sometimes we have individuals making those phone calls. We can be even more efficient by having this. However, only 20 people have signed up so far. So if you could do this, however, this is for the people of the town of Cambria. So therefore, if you're out there from other areas and so forth, you really don't want to know that, the last day to pay your water bill is, on Friday and you're from Wheatfield or whatever. So when you sign up for this, it's for town of Cambria information only, okay? So, and like I said, when you sign up, you are not going to be spammed with information. They're not going to sell your name to anybody or anything. So with that being said, I am going to be going back over to my office because I'm going over some Veterans Day ceremony stuff. But in the meanwhile, too, this last thing I say before I go over there, and if anybody wants to see me after the meeting, I'm going to be there, is I would like to thank everybody who stepped in during my unexpected vacation this summer. I'm doing much better now. Thank you to all who stepped in to help me out. It was very hard to have other people help me, but I appreciate those who stepped in. So, and with that being said, I'm heading on over. Thank you.
Anything from the attorney? Okay. I did receive a letter from the Farmers Association of the State of New York asking for us to publicize the fact that they are conducting a statewide outreach campaign. Title is There a Fire in You? Trying to recruit additional volunteer firefighters. They point out that over 70% of all fire and emergency response in New York State is handled by volunteers. And lately, of course, there's been a decline in the number, and you can talk to any one of our fire companies and they will verify that fact. Combined with more calls, increasingly complex responses, and additional required training, the result is often longer response times and undue strain on our fire department's resources. So if you can consider it yourself, if you have friends who might be interested, I would strongly encourage you to talk to your local fire companies and see if there's something that you can do, particularly in the way of volunteering. Update on the Bear Ridge Solar Project. There's been no action on the ad hoc appointments. That's still in limbo. The issue of the local office, I think Kevin is here, and I think you will have an announcement on that this evening. We have a teleconference coming up to initiate the stipulations negotiation process, and your organization is a party to that, so I know that you've been notified however you want to respond to that. And we have another meeting coming up on zoning alternative proposals and the community benefit agreement proposals. And before we get into that, I thought I might address the whole issue of zoning and its impact on the community. I've had several questions brought to my attention over the last few weeks, specifically as it refers to the Bear Ridge Solar Project and the issue of rezoning and what's the board going to do, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So, if we go back to the beginning, 11 March of 1808, when the town was founded, it was founded around an area that incorporated or included very large tracts of land, large acreage and farms. Neighbors were at least a quarter mile away and sometimes a half mile away. And it started out that way after they got rid of all the wolves. You, of course, are familiar with the story. In March 11 of 1808, when the town was founded, the town was apparently overrun by wolves. So if you go to the town board minutes from that very first meeting, you will see an entry in there where the town board established a bounty on wolves, $5. $5 in 1808 was a pretty good piece of change. And you did have to bring in a pair of ears to claim your $5. But apparently the effort was successful because the town was settled, and over the next 131 years, a lot of people moved in. These large tracts of land were divided in different ways, and you had some settlers who were not involved in farming directly, but maybe other trades. And so that's where we started to get this development going. In 1939, the town board realized that they needed to address the issue. There was a little bit too much confusion over land use issues. And so the very first zoning ordinance was issued in 1939. And since that time, in the ensuing time, of course, there have been many amendments to it as the town board has addressed changing needs of the community, changing situations of people, and things of that nature. I want to quote from the introduction to the Town of Cambria zoning ordinance, because I think that gives us a guideline where we're headed. And this is the very first paragraph on page 1. An ordinance limiting and restricting the specified districts and regulating therein buildings and other structures according to their construction and the nature and extent of their use and the nature and extent of the use of land, so as to promote and preserve the health, safety, character, and general welfare of the town of Cambria, and providing penalties for the violation thereof. And that really serves as the guidance for a town board to keep in mind impacts on public health and safety, impacts on the character of the town, and I think that that's been followed quite well over those past years. In one sense, I think you could say that a zoning ordinance sort of contributes to the formation and development of the community. Now, granted that the community is really the people, but I would suggest that the zoning ordinance provides a framework, if you will, a structure within which that sense of community is allowed to develop. So we come to the present time where we have the Bear Ridge Solar Project. And the major problem with the project as it's presently set forth, of course, is that it violates our zoning law. It does not conform to our zoning law in any way. We've looked at various alternatives that have been presented. We've looked at suggestions from Cypress Creek Renewables as to how they would like to work around the zoning. Things like overlays. I guess special districts would be a possibility. There's a couple others. None of these have met the criteria of supporting the character of town. And in all cases, what you would end up with would be the industrialization of a fair tract of land, some 700 acres, for 20, 30, 40 years, however long the project runs. And the town board is the only body that has the authority to change the zoning. And this town board has no intention of rezoning. We do not see we do not see any benefits to the town and or its citizens that would sufficiently mitigate the impact of the industrialization of all of that land. Everything that we've seen so far, and again, as part of our job is in fulfilling the Article 10, we're open to discussion, we're open to negotiation. It's Cypress Creek's responsibility to present mechanisms that they think can work. It's our responsibility to take action on those mechanisms. And we are not at all interested in changing the character of the town, and it appears, at least at the present time, that any of the actions we would have to take to allow that to go forward would change the character. And we've seen no real benefit. Different types of benefits have been offered, they've been mentioned. We see no real benefit to the town governance or to its citizens. So that's where we stand, and that's all I have to say in the matter. Kevin, you're here. You want to comment on your new office?
Certainly. Thank you, Supervisor. And good evening, everybody. I appreciate the opportunity to speak. It's nice to see you all. Regarding the new office, we are still working to complete build out of the space, decoration of the space. We are also working to hire a local representative, a community engagement coordinator, to staff that local office. That will be a local individual from Western New York, who will act as a member of the Bear Ridge team, and will be a liaison for everyone in the community to come ask questions. So we're hard at work reviewing applications for that role. We were quite encouraged to receive over 35 applications for the role, which was great to see, some excitement around that. We're still reviewing those applications right now and interviewing candidates. I believe that at the last meeting that I attended 2 months ago, we had set a September deadline to open the office. And I apologize that I don't believe we're going to be able to meet that commitment. And I don't like when I'm not able to meet my commitments. I take responsibility for that. But we are still interviewing candidates and looking to staff this local office and local position. So our opening date will be delayed past this week, but we will be announcing the opening date shortly. as well as the office hours, where folks can come in and ask questions of the project. We're hoping to make it a warm and inviting space where people can feel comfortable asking questions, hosting meetings, coming to meet the project team and discuss the project.
I apologize if I jumped the gun because I talked to the lady that owns the place. She said you picked up the key today. So my assumption was that you were open and ready for business.
Still working on outfitting the space. But yes, we're happy to take occupancy of the space. Just want to make sure that it's ready for the public to come in.
Okay, fair enough. Concerns of the citizens, anyone have anything to bring up? Yes, sir.
What
And
qualifications?
you are, sir, please.
Oh, Roger Palmer, Sabero Road, I'm sorry.
Yes.
What
Please address the
qualifications do
board.
these people have to actually work in this office? Are they, you said Western New York, is it Western New, could be out east Aurora, somebody coming in, or somebody from the immediate area?
We're doing our best to make it as local of a person as possible. We'd love if there was someone from Cambria or Pendleton. But since we haven't hired that individual yet, we just don't know at this time.
That answers part of my question. What about the first part?
What qualifications?
Yeah.
Ideally this person would have experience working in an administrative role, experience working in customer service. They have experience with renewable energy. We really appreciate that. We are still taking applications if folks are interested and have referrals that they'd like to make too.
So they'll be well versed in solar installations.
And the project.
We hope that this person has renewable energy experience, but in the effort to make this a local person, it's relatively new industry, so we're still sorting through that. But we are going to get them up to speed on the project as quickly as possible.
Just a reminder, please stand up when you're addressing the board so that people can hear you. We don't have.
I was gonna say the
microphones.
same
Excuse
thing
me.
because half the people couldn't hear.
We don't have microphones in here, so I would appreciate that. Yes.
Susan Fisher, Carriage Lane. This is more of a comment than it is a question. I think Cypress Creek and what Kevin is saying right now seems like a fantasy dream. There is nobody in Cambria that is going to want to man this office or has the knowledge to answer any questions. I didn't hear him say that anybody from Cypress Creek was going to be there to answer questions. I don't think a secretary or anybody applies for this job is going to be knowledgeable enough to answer these questions. And also, Cypress Creek seems so disorganized in everything they do because we were told at the last meeting that they were going to open up the next week. And she had times and everything. So this has been going on for months that they have not been able to rent a space somewhere in Cambria. So we don't want them here anyway, so we don't care if they don't have an office.
Point of clarification, they said they would be open this week.
Yep.
Yes, ma'am.
Jessica Westfall, Lower Mountain Road.
Right.
I sat next to Ann last month when she said that she was opening her office the next week. I called Brown Electric and they knew nothing about Cypress Creek renting this office, so she lied to the entire room at August meeting.
Well, not exactly, because I spoke to Mrs. Sarah Brown today. She's the owner.
Mm-hmm.
And
Sharon.
Sharon, thank
Brown.
you for correcting that. Yeah, Sharon. And she, of course, knew all about it and said that they picked that, so I found out they picked up the key today.
Not that at that time, that week, she hadn't rented that office to them.
Well, that may
According
be-
to her.
Okay, I can't comment on that. Yes, sir, Mr. Sullivan.
John Soto, 5262 Sabera Road. So, I just want to bring up a couple of points just in case we end up having a solar project in the industrial zone, which would be okay. So, I just want to make sure that stipulations, in the stipulations, negotiations, that we're talking about these points. And I got 4 or 5 points that I just want to remind everybody of. Due to the different elevations that are in the area with the dolomite, we want extra soil samples being taken place so we get the proper foundation design. Everybody here knows how much frost we get. The thing's gotta be anchored right, especially if it's gotta last 40 or 50 years. We don't wanna see something that's heaving up and down in the future. That being said, we also wanna make sure that we have special inspectors. We want foundation inspectors and electrical connection inspectors, because our town board does not have the time with a part-time building inspector to be there full-time to inspect these foundations. Nor do we have the qualifications to be inspecting the electrical system. So we need Cypress Creek to pay for the special inspections. Canadian Solar is where the documents came from Cypress Creek, that talked about the type of panels that they're gonna use. We asked for an MSDS, we never got it, we got a brochure. Just a two-part thing. We would like the MSDS for the solar panel. We have RFPs that we gotta do for decommissioning. We need to know what the hell is in those panels. We have to know what we're dealing with so that we can get an accurate RFP for the decommissioning time. Canadian Solar recommends stainless steel hardware. It's not required. We need to have stainless steel hardware installed on those panels. If they use galvanized hardware, the things are going to be a pain in the ass to hit apart in 40 years from now. We're dealing with toxic materials. We do not want to have to go in there with sawzalls and things that are going to cause vibrations and maybe crack a 40-year-old panel, and then we got toxic materials running out on the ground. We want the stainless steel hardware. Environmental issues. We want to make sure that the short-eared owl is being taken care of, and the insects that are here that have to be relocated are taken care of. What else? And that's it on that. I do have a statement or something to inform Kevin of. He might not be there. Can I address Kevin?
No, you address it as board.
Okay. So Kevin, this is for you. I just want to, I'm an ex-construction project manager. I've managed over $2 billion worth of construction. And I care about the men in the field. I really do. You can get this information at the Lockport Public Library. It is available. You are looking for a report done by the Army Corps of Engineers in 2010 relating to Simon Saw and Steel. It is down there. It talks about a train wreck that happened from Junction Road to Sabera Road, which is right down the alley where you're going to be installing these panels. To date, nobody has inspected that land. There were uranium, over thousands of uranium rods that were spilled all over the ground. Men went out there with their bare hands and threw the uranium back into the train. They were dead in 10 days. The land has never been looked at. Now, it's been farmed, it's been tilled, the stuff might not be right on the surface. There really hasn't, even since that day, that land has been agricultural land, and it really hasn't, there's been nobody crawling out there on their hands and knees. You're getting ready to put men out there in the field crawling on their hands and knees, drilling holes every, I don't know how many feet, maybe 4, 5 feet, 8 feet for your Healy piers that you're going to be putting in. They could bring up something, Kevin, if they touch it, they're dead in 10 days. And I'm telling you, you better look at it, because it's specifically all the reports done by the Atomic Regulatory Committee and the Army Corps of Engineers have never touched that land. They've only inspected the site at Simon Saw and Steel on 93. So I'm telling you, you better do it, because you're putting them men in danger if something is there, and it very well could be. There was thousands of rods. There has never been anybody walk through there with a Geiger counter or anything, and that stuff could be laying on the ground. And at this point in time, it would look like an old tractor park. It could look like a broken piece of PTO shaft. They were round billets. They were about that big around and about that long. That's it.
Thank you, John. I know that the DEC does have a stipulation in there regarding, the wildlife. That's already covered. Anyone else?
I'd like to have a comment if I could, Mr. Supervisor.
Yeah.
I just want to make a comment that I think would be a little bit ridiculous to have an office and not have somebody in here with extensive knowledge of this project and extensive knowledge of solar. I just hope that Cypress Creek would put somebody in there that's very well experienced, not somebody that's going to come in there and get trained for 2 weeks and then expect them to answer all the questions from everybody. This is going to be a lot of frustration. We need somebody in there experienced. And I would think that this project, if it's important to Cypress Creek, they would try to have somebody in there to answer our questions, not just train somebody local for a couple of weeks and say, here you go. That's not going to work.
Anyone else have anything? Yes, ma'am.
Shane Gustafson, 4515 Bear Road. I just wanted to say that I too have concerns about the industrial solar project going into the Cambria's industrial district. I feel that it's unacceptable. It doesn't address the numerous health and safety concerns that have been brought up by the opposition group, and I can go through most of them. Mr. Soto just said most of them. But I also feel it's a poor use of the town's industrial district. That district's meant to bring jobs and industry into our town, and this project's only going to have, 2 people working at it. I'd like to see that area we use for better purposes.
Okay, thank you. No, we're trying to go one at a time. Thank you very much. Yes, ma'am.
Christine Love, Kennedy Crescent. I have a question, because I came across some information today, and most of the residents, as you know, Supervisor, feel sold out by the landowners that have done this, and it's for their own personal benefit, their own personal gain, not to think about the other residents that share this town. The information that I came across today is a question for Kevin, and I would like to know if Cypress Creek is affiliated or has ever done business or does business as Helios Energy.
Can I answer that question?
Yep, please.
We do not do business as Helios Energy. I believe we have sold projects to Helios Energy in the past, but they are not affiliated with Cypress Creek directly.
There's one over here. John?
Chief John Presley with Cambria. I just wanted to thank the town highway and the town board for the help of the tractor pull with the equipment. It was good weekend. A lot of people come through. Just got a couple other things. The town budget meeting for the fire companies next week. I see on the town website that there's one Wednesday and Thursday. I was just wondering if the fire companies are getting split up this year, or are you gonna buy?
No, Cambria and Pekin will be on Thursday night, Sanborn's on Wednesday night.
Okay. I just saw it on the website.
Yep.
And the second concern, what the town board's gonna do with Unicorn Drive after the 15th. I heard rumors that it's gotta be everybody out by the 15th. My concern is with kids getting in there, having a problem like we did with the bomb shelter. fires being set in there. As of right now, I was in it last night. I won't send my own firemen in there due to the way the shape of it's in.
Cambria Housing Authority owns the property. They're in the process of closing it.
Okay.
And the tenants are being relocated to other facilities where they have the assistance of an organization that's been contracted by the state to do that.
That's why it's
Yep.
on record that the way, I'm just worried about our members going in there. And what's the plan with it after the 15th? Is it gonna be boarded up?
They will secure the property, yes. We're following it very closely, but it's the Cambria Housing Authority.
Now, do you guys oversee that as a town board? Is it a town entity?
Technically, we really don't. We really don't. We appoint the members to the Cambria Housing Authority. They elect their own officers. They were established, I don't know, back in the mid-80s, I guess, sometime in there when the town was taking over the old airport station along with this property here. And they were formed then, so that's been their pantry.
Who's the chair now?
Ray Amaker.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Anyone else have anything to bring? You already spoke, John. Yes, sir.
This is not about the solar.
You already spoke, John.
Robert from Upper Mountain. Got a question regarding tax law 487 and town of Cambria possibly opting out on that towards large-scale solar.
If we opt out of it, we opt out of it for everyone. It includes, we have to opt out for both utility grade, industrial grade, and all residential ones.
Okay, I know Niagara County itself is looking into this.
They're looking at it. The thing is that if you opt out of the exemption, then you cannot negotiate a pilot.
Okay.
So we're trying to keep our options open. Yes, sir.
Yes, Brian Rosenberg up Mount Road. To the point of health and safety concerns, I understand that if there's a fire in this, if the plan goes through, but we will take our full time to put it through. But if it does, and there's a fire in this in one of the solar fields, there would have to be an evacuation of a 5-mile radius. Is anything in the works for a plan to do such thing?
Not that I know of. The 5-mile radius issue has been addressed. I don't know exactly where that stands. I'm sure that'll come up in our negotiations, unless you can speak about it. Kevin?
I'll try, and it's, I guess I haven't heard of a 5-mile radius evacuation. But I want to address the issue of safety and a potential fire. One, fires are extremely rare on solar projects. If they do happen, we train fire departments in every town where we build a solar project. That's very important. We've had initial meetings with Cambria Volunteer Fire Company to discuss the potential solar project. We'll have a more involved training with all of the local fire companies should the project move forward. If a fire does happen, we recommend creating a perimeter around the system and letting the electrical equipment burn. The panels can burn, and the project would clean everything up afterwards. But we recommend that the fire company create a perimeter around. We would not expect a 5-mile evacuation. I have not heard of that on another project, but I'm happy to look into that if that's of a concern.
I think the concern is the Star Point Central School, which is within a fairly close proximity to those parcels over in Pelton specifically, and not too far from a couple that are in Cambria on Lockport Road.
If I may, there are homes in some of these fields, there's 10 parcels, there are homes within a few hundred feet of some of these massive solar fields. And the biggest one, I've done the calculations using their map, their scale on their map, and you can zoom in if you're online or on the smart device. You can see the homes are within a few hundred feet. The fields are, the biggest one, my calculation is 100 football fields in size. Now, if something like that gets burned and how the smoke is gonna be immediate, I don't understand how, that's not a concern.
I think the problem that I feel about it, and others have shared this, and Kevin, it's something you need to be aware of. We have a lot of hay fields in the area, and if those become on fire, you know, then you got a grass fire, getting kind of a breeze, you got a real problem. And that's gonna be a major challenge for your fire companies to establish a perimeter. And I think he brings up a very good point about the proximity of homes that will then fall within a very, very real danger area. So I think that needs to be looked at.
And the last point would be, why is Cypress Creek not taking the industrial land? I believe Kevin did explain it at Pendleton back in May, I think it was, but I would like an official explanation why they're not taking the 400 acres, I believe, industrial. Thank you.
Sure. Yeah, the town of Cambria has offered the 400 acres, I believe it is, in the industrial district for the project. Our engineers are currently evaluating that land. We currently site a portion of the Bear Ridge project within that industrial district. I believe there's roughly 80 to 100 acres of the project that's proposed to be sited in that area. We have evaluated another 40 acres on a separate parcel of land that, according to our wetland biologists, is covered in wetlands. We like to avoid impacting wetlands when developing a solar project, so we can't use that area. We've tried to reach out to some of the landowners who own other land in the industrial district. The two that I've been in contact with were not interested in participating in the project. And so we always work with willing landowners, and so at this time we don't see a way to use that land. But our engineers are still evaluating some of the other land. We see potentially 150, I believe, usable acres of that 400 acres. So we are trying to move some of the project into that area.
Anything else to bring up? Yes, sir.
Mr. Ellis, Tom Gertz, Saunders Settlement Road, Cambria, of course. I'm with Cambria forever. I'd like to know, this is directed at you, Mr. Ellis, are you gonna get together with the other towns that are having the same problem? They don't know where to go, they don't know what to do, and discuss this solar issue with them?
Both Dan Engert and I have talked to the supervisors of Heartland and Newfane. You're referring to that latest project?
Yes, sir.
And we've given them some guidance, people to contact, the SOS group among others. And I'm sure those discussions will be ongoing.
Thank you very much.
Anything else? All right, we're gonna take a vote on whether John gets a second crack. Okay, John.
Yes. Go, John.
All right.
I'll not ask that question.
I have a question for the town attorney. Do you see any problems with using some newer technology to do a petition using the mechanism called DocuSign? If they're using it now to sign banking documents, all kinds of legal documents. It's a legal website. It would make the process of performing a petition, you know, it's like a horse and buggy days going out there door to door. I'm trying to use some modern technology. Do you see anything? And could we also use that? Maybe we could have a work group session and maybe develop DocuSign into a mechanism that the town could use to take surveys and things like that. Do you see any issues with that?
well, one issue is we'd always have to check the law, right, to see what the contents and the form of the petition are supposed to be if they're laid out in the law, okay? And that could be our own law, and I don't think we have anything that speaks to the form and content of the petition. But we have to take a look at the general New York State law to see if there's anything in there. I doubt if there is. And you have to look at what it is that you're asking the petition to do, right? In some of our zoning, rezoning, the people who live in an area get to petition the town to rezone property, the property owners, and it looks at how many percentage you usually need of the property owners in a certain area. So that's sort of like a formal petition that has some weight to it that the town law recognizes. But other than that, most petitions are go back to what we had 200 years ago in this country, a redress of your grievances to the local town. And so I would think that any mechanism that would fairly and accurately convey the contents of what's being signed and who's signing it could be presented that way to the town.
Thank you.
Okay, anything else? Yes, Susan?
Thank you.
Fair is fair.
Governor Cuomo, when he was here in Wilson, said that no solar projects would move forward if there weren't any ad hoc appointees. So why is Cypress Creek still spray painting our roads and checking our poles, and why are they still here? Isn't that moving forward?
I said this last month, and I think I said it the month before, that has nothing to do with his state. He's really talking from the standpoint of an application and all that stuff. And I certainly can't speak for the governor, but nor do I want to. What they're doing right now is within the guidance of Article 10. They're doing their due diligence, just like any large business that would be coming into the town. The problem is, because of their size and the land use and the impact that has, it affects a lot more people than XYZ company coming in and interested in 25 acres from Roger Schrader back there to put up a factory that's going to do such and such and employ 25 people. They're going to do a lot of that. They're going to check soil conditions and figure out what will support the structure they want to put up. They'll do all sorts of surveys before they ever come to the town board. The issue here is the Article 10 and the Article 10 process. And technically, we are not to the point of the submission of the application. No, that's still quite a ways down the road. And that triggers a lot of things on siting boards and one thing and all like that. They're doing, it's perfectly within their responsibility, I guess you'd say, to do what they're doing. Anything else? Okay.
Mind if I add to that?
Sure.
Supervisor Ellis, I think, responded to that very well. We stand with the town board, with Senator Hort, with Assemblyman Morinello, in wanting the ad hoc members to be appointed to the siting board. We're doing what we can in Albany to help bring about those appointments. We think it's really important that local voices are heard. So I just want to state that. And as Supervisor said, we have not yet submitted our application, which will contain information regarding the environmental studies that we're doing to date, any impacts to birds and insects. As was raised earlier, we think that having a pollinator-friendly solar facility can actually be quite a good home for insects and birds and whatnot. That will come through in our application as we submit a visual impact assessment, socioeconomic report, etc., with the Article 10 process. But thank you all for raising the concerns and letting me speak.
Okay, moving on to, new business. First item, scheduling the November town board meeting. Because of the calendar, it's necessary to reschedule the November town board meeting to the 7th of November, moving it up a week. By, town law, section 108, the town is obligated to have a public hearing on its budget before or no later than the first Thursday after election day. Election day, that Tuesday is the 5th, so we will move our town board meeting up. So motion to change the November town board meeting to Thursday, 7 November 2019 at 7 p.m. to comply with town law situation 108. The meeting will start with a public hearing on the 2020 preliminary town budget.
I'll make the motion.
Moved by Councilman Roberts, do I have a second? Second. Second by Councilman Perkins. Any discussion of the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. John, your sealing of the parking lot?
Yeah, well, we got prices on sealing the driveway. It was repaid last year, so this will be the first year it should be sealed and striped. And I had 3 local guys. One in Boston was low by $100, so he'll get the job.
Okay, then motion to accept the proposal of Vaughn Magic Seal Incorporated. Amherst, New York, for sealing the town hall parking lot area at the amount of $2,900.
I'll make the motion.
Moved by Councilman Foto, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Councilman Roberts, any discussion of the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. There being no further business, motion for adjournment.
I'll make the motion.
Moved by Councilman Foto, do I have a second? Second. Second by Councilman Perkins, adjourn, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried.